Well, Yuriy Sak is an advisor to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry and joins us live on the line now. Yuriy, thanks for coming on. First of all, let's talk about these developments this morning in the town of Liman. What do you know about the situation there, and how important is this to the war effort for Ukraine?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Indeed, Ukrainian army has achieved another considerable success on the battlefield in the area of Liman city. And according to the information that we have at the moment, a Russian grouping of around 5,000 soldiers is now encircled. And of course, we are offering them to surrender and to become prisoners of war, but it is their choice. And we say to them that, look, you will be treated better in Ukraine as prisoners of war than you will be treated by your own leadership, because we're seeing this on the ground.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, because that is a sizable number of Russian troops. You may have the city surrounded, but then marshalling those troops could be logistically quite difficult for the Ukrainian authorities. Do you have the personnel on the ground to process anyone that wanted to surrender to the Ukrainians?
I'm sure that all the necessary measures have been taken by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and this is part of a larger counteroffensive military operation along the front line. I'm sure that all the necessary steps were taken in order to ensure that this is possible.
Yuri, we are now sort of entering another phase, aren't we, in this war, given what happened yesterday and President Putin's threats to use potentially nuclear weapons and any other weapons in his arsenal. How are the Ukrainians trying to defend against that? One of the fears is potentially the use of tactical nuclear weapons, so-called battlefield nuclear weapons. Do we know what kind of damage they could do if they are deployed?
I don't think anyone at the moment can predict the amount of damage that can be caused by such a strike, because we live in a world where nuclear weapons have not been used, and there is no real, if you like, battlefield experience of seeing them in action. And we hope that this will not happen, even though we understand that the risk is very high. But as for Ukraine, yesterday when the Secretary General of the NATO alliance was delivering a speech, he said something which encapsulates our approach very well and our feelings about this. He said that if Russia stops fighting, there will be no war. But if Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. So for us, it's a war of survival. And for us, we understand we have no choice. We have to we have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And we hope that, the unwavering support of our international allies will ensure that the worst doesn't happen and that the Ukraine can win this battle by the conventional means and put an end to this war.
You say prepare for the worst. Is there anything that anyone could do to prepare for that sort of attack should it happen?
In our mass media, for example, some information is already distributed to the population about, the kind of precautions you have to take and the first steps you have to do in case of possible increase of radiation. Our National and Security and Defense Council also said that they will be distributing certain information to the population. So, there are certain things that can be done in order for people at least to be aware of what needs to be done if this happens. But again, we hope that the international community and Ukraine will do everything necessary to stop this from happening.
Okay, very briefly, we heard there from James saying that this area in Liman, previously the Ukrainians had struggled to get their logistics organised in that area. Are you confident that those problems are now over and you can get munitions and supplies to your troops there?
Indeed, the logistics lines, they are in place, and our troops are provided with all the necessary ammunition and all the necessary weaponry. And of course, every territory that we liberate, as soon as the enemy is driven out, there are stabilization measures on the ground that the local populations are provided with the humanitarian aid and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Yuriy Sak.